Standard 10, Subject English, Unit 4.5, The Old Man and the Sea, Book Review. Children, now watch a video which will give you information about the 10 things of Ernest Hemingway's book, The Old Man and the Sea.
He always thought of the sea as La Mar, which is what people call her in Spanish when they love her.
This is a story about an elderly man and a marlin. Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and in this installment of Mojo Notes, we'll be exploring 10 things you should know about Ernest Hemingway's The Old Man and the Sea. Number 10. About the author. Born in 1899 in Oak Park, Illinois, Ernest Hemingway began writing for newspapers following high school graduation. He also served in the First World War and worked as a journalist. His most famous novels include A Farewell to Arms, For Whom the Bell Tolls, and The Old Man and the Sea. He died in 1961. Number 9. Influences and inspirations. The Old Man and the Sea is a fictional novel most likely based on the experiences of real-life fisherman Gregorio Fuentes. This man was actually the first mate on Hemingway's boat, the Pilar, and taught the writer about catching a type of fish known as marlin. Number 8. Settings and era. Written while Hemingway was in Cuba, The Old Man and the Sea is set in Havana. The novel's protagonist is a fisherman named Santiago, who spends most of his time on his fishing boat out at sea during the 1940s. In addition to his experiences with the fish, the novel also follows Santiago as he copes with nature and the weather. Number 7. Plot. Narrated by an all-knowing third person, The Old Man and the Sea follows the adventures of a fisherman named Santiago, who has been teaching his trade to a young boy named Manilene.
Santiago, I could go with you again. We've made some money.
Unfortunately, Santiago has had bad luck for the last 84 days and has been unable to catch any fish. His luck changes when he sets off by himself and catches what he believes to be a marlin.
Then he felt something hard and unbelievably heavy. It was the weight of the fish.
However, the fish is so big and struggles so hard that Santiago spends the next 2 days and nights struggling with the creature alongside his boat. Though Santiago kills the marlin with a harpoon, his voyage back is complicated by multiple sharks.
Now he speeded up as he smelled the fresher scent, and his blue dorsal fin cut the water.
Since Santiago can't fight them all, the deadly predators consume the marlin until it's just bones. This is all the fisherman has left to try to win his lost admiration and respect back home.
You tell him how sorry I am.
Thanks.
Number 6. The Old Man or Santiago.
The old man was gray and wrinkled, with deep furrows in the back of his neck, and his hands had the deep creased scars from handling heavy fish on the cords.
Nicknamed El Campeón, or the Champion, Santiago is the novel's protagonist. He used to be considered one of the best fishermen in his community, but bad luck and hard times led him to lose that reputation, and instead he became a target for put-downs.
They sat on the terrace, and many of the fishermen made fun of the old man, and he was not angry.
Driven by a desire to prove himself to his community and his apprentice Manilene, the noble Santiago sets off on a solo voyage to catch a marlin. While his battle with the marlin and the sharks demonstrate his pride, determination, and fishing skills, his willingness to survive on such little food shows his willpower and sense of sacrifice.
I wish the boy was here to cut up the bonita, and I wish I had some salt.
He and the marlin also represent the natural cycle of life. Number 5. The boy or Manilene. Manilene sees Santiago as his teacher and his friend.
The old man had taught the boy to fish, and the boy loved him.
Despite the old man's age, he respects and admires him. Manilene cares about the fisherman so much that he's overcome with tears of joy upon his safe return. As Santiago's only real human companion, he believes in him and wants to fish with him again.
Did you suffer much? Now we'll fish together again.
Number 4. The Marlin. As Santiago's enemy and the novel's main antagonist, The marlin is so strong that the fishermen spend several days and nights at sea trying to reel it in and capture it.
He's longer than the skiff.
It has so much fight in it that Santiago sacrifices his well-being to tire it out and finally end its life with a harpoon. Though all that's left of the marlin when he returns home is a skeleton, its massive 18-foot frame has people thinking it was a shark. It represents the same qualities as the old man: greatness, beauty, and nobility of spirit.
He only needed the feel of the trade wind and the drawing of the sail. He could see the fish, and he had only to look at his hands and feel his back against the stern to know that this had truly happened and was not a dream.
Number 3. Values and themes.
I have never seen or heard of such a fish. And now, we are joined together.
The novel explores several themes, but it's Santiago's determination, endurance, and perseverance, despite everything that goes wrong, that stand out.
No good for you nor for me. I'm sorry, fish.
Related to this is the exploration of pride and suffering. Meanwhile, Santiago's friendship with Manoline showcases a relationship between student and teacher, respect for one's elders, and the need for human companionship. Number 2. Modern popularity. The Old Man and the Sea turned Hemingway into a worldwide name. Not only did it play a role in Hemingway being awarded a Nobel Prize in Literature, but it's still studied in schools today. Number 1. Adaptations. Since it's one of Hemingway's most popular novels, The Old Man and the Sea has been adapted for the screen more than once. This includes the Oscar-nominated 1958 live-action flick and an Oscar-winning animated short film.
Children, you just watched a video which gave you information about the 10 things of Ernest Hemingway's book, The Old Man and the Sea. You got to know about the author, Ernest Hemingway, and his famous novels, influences and inspirations which made him write the novel, the settings and era, the plot of the story. The old man, or the old Cuban fisherman Santiago, he's the main protagonist of the story. He was the best fisherman in his community. About the boy Manolin, he was the devoted apprentice of Santiago. Then the big fish, the marlin, values and themes, modern popularity and adaptations. Let us now read and understand the book review of The Old Man and the Sea as it is given in your text. In your text, the review writer begins with a brief story of The Old Man and the Sea. I'll just read the brief story that the review writer has given. An old and experienced Cuban fisherman, that is Santiago, has a run of terrible bad luck and is unable to catch any fish for 84 days. His young and devoted apprentice Manolin, this is Manolin, has been forced by his parents to start working with another fisherman. Why? Because Santiago, this Cuban fisherman, had a run of terrible bad luck and he was unable to catch any fish for 84 days. And therefore, Manolin was forced to work with another fisherman. The old man resolves to sail out farther into the sea than all the other fishermen and attempts to catch the really big fish. On the 85th day, he succeeds in hooking a marlin. This is the picture of the marlin, the big fish, with his bait. What is a bait? Food placed on a hook or in a net, or it is a trap to entice fish or to attract the fish. But the marlin is too strong for him and starts pulling the boat. We seen in the video that Santiago finds it very difficult to pull the marlin. We know about his struggle. But finally he does get the marlin. He kills the marlin with his harpoon. We also come to know from the video that he also later fights against the sharks. The Old Man and the Sea is the story of the old man's struggle with the marlin and his later battle against the sharks. Social and historical context. Hemingway's novel is based on real events and it also draws heavily on his own life. He had experience of fishing in the Cuban waters, and like the old man, he was also a fan of baseball. So this is a picture of Hemingway at a fishing expedition. He had experience of fishing in the Cuban waters. Like the old man in the novel, he was also a fan of baseball. That is, he liked baseball. Hemingway's novels are based on real events and it also draws heavily on his own life. Ernest Hemingway worked for the Red Cross during the First World War and was injured by shrapnel when he was in Italy. He worked for the Red Cross. What is the Red Cross? It is a humanitarian organization founded to protect human life and health, to ensure respect for all human beings, and to prevent and alleviate human suffering. The meaning of alleviate is to reduce or to lessen. Ernest Hemingway was injured by shrapnel when he was in Italy. What is the meaning of shrapnel? Fragments of a bomb, shell, or other object thrown out by an explosion. Hemingway always talks about the need to struggle against defeat or death and how determination and endurance can help one to win in this struggle. So the review writer tells us that Hemingway talks about the need to struggle against defeat or death. But if we are determined and show endurance, we can win in this struggle. The old man is at the end of the novel very near death. We've seen the video. We know the story that the old man had to struggle. He had to fight, or he had to battle with the sharks. He also had to struggle in order to get the marlin, the big fish. But finally, he does kill the marlin with his harpoon. So it was a real struggle. He was near death. We know that the story of his suffering and loss, the story of the old man's suffering and loss, he had to suffer at the hands of the sharks, and how he had to suffer in order to catch the huge fish, the marlin. So this story of his suffering and loss will live on in the memories of the people of his village. Ultimately, his story becomes one of triumph. What is the meaning of triumph? Of victory, because the tales of his life will live on even after his death. So it will be a story of victory. Why will it be a story of victory? Because the story of his life will live on even after he is dead. The novel was published in 1952 when people were trying to recover from the wrath by the two world wars. So this novel was published in 1952 when people were trying to recover from the disaster of the two wars. And this tale of endurance or tolerance and ultimate triumph immediately struck a chord with the readers. So this story of tolerance and the story of ultimate victory, it struck a chord with the readers. The meaning of struck a chord is causes people to approve of it or agree to it. So when the readers read this story, they approved of it. They approved that it is a tale of endurance and ultimate triumph. It struck a chord with the readers. Hemingway's language is simple and pithy. Pithy is expressive. He mostly writes in short and straightforward sentences and practices an extreme economy in his use of words. This simplicity is deceptive, and a reader can read his work again and again and find new layers of meaning. So as the reader reads it again and again, they may find a new meaning to it every time the reader reads it. So his language is simple, but at times this simplicity is deceptive. The review writers Thoughts after he read the novel. My thoughts. I first read this novel years ago when I did not understand it at all and was left unimpressed. In spite of this, a vivid image remained with me: an old man holding on to his fishing line with the last of his strength. Recently, I read this book again and was extremely moved. The formidable strength of the old man's character, the quiet devotion of the empathetic Manolin, and the relationship between the two are heartwarming. Hemingway's descriptions of the sea and the creatures of the water are beautiful. The marlin fights for its life desperately, and it's hard to know whether our sympathies should lie with the old man or with the marlin. But as the novel progresses, the old man and the marlin are inseparably linked because both stand for the same ideal, that is, a noble struggle against destruction. So here the review writer gives his thoughts after he read the novel. The first time when he read this novel years ago, he did not understand it at all and was left unimpressed. In spite of that, a clear image, a vivid image remained with him: an old man holding on to his fishing line with the last of his strength. Recently, the review writer again read this book again and he was extremely touched. The formidable strength of the old man's character. The meaning of formidable is impressive, or the great strength of the old man's character. The quiet devotion of the empathetic Manolin. We know Manolin was very empathetic towards the old man or the old fisherman. He cared for him. The relationship between the two, that is Manolin and the old Cuban fisherman Santiago, are heartwarming. Hemingway's description of the sea and the creatures of the water are beautiful. So this is what the review writer writes, his review, his thoughts about the novel. The marlin fights for its life desperately, and it is hard to know whether our sympathies is feeling of pity, whether we should have pity towards the old man or towards the marlin. As the novel progresses, the old man and the marlin are inseparably linked because both stand for the same ideal. What is the ideal that they stand for? A noble struggle against destruction. Name the following: young and devoted apprentice Manolin, the place where Hemingway had experience of fishing Cuban waters, that which Hemingway was injured by during the First World War, shrapnel. Language of the novel, simple and pithy. In his first reading, the review writer was left unimpressed. Match the phrases in column A with their meanings in column B. Column A, the phrases: run of terrible bad luck. The meaning is a period of time when bad things happen. Draws heavily on, makes use of. Struck a chord, hit on a topic. In spite of, without being affected by a particular factor. Holding on, endure in difficult circumstances. Write the root word after dropping the prefix or suffix or both. Unable, the root word is able. Heavily, the root word is heavy. Determination, the root word is determine. Endurance, root word endure. Unimpressed, root word impressed. Relationship, root word relate. Inseparably, root word separate. Empathetic, root word empathy. Beautiful, beauty. Simplicity, simple.